All right, we are here today with the man, Josh Rundle, the fantasy guru, the guy that is running more leagues than everyone that watches this show combined. And
Stop it. Stop it. It's not.
we're happy to have you, man. So,
Thanks, buddy.
Hey, we appreciate it.
Cheers, boys.
First guest.
Big fan of the show. I appreciate having the honor of being a first guest. And I am excited. I am very excited, as I'm sure you are. It is time. It is the time. This is my Super Bowl. This is my Christmas. This is draft season. And I am excited. And I will take whatever I have here and share it with the world. I do not care. I have some drafts coming up, which I'm worried about people seeing and obviously affecting that. But you know what?
Our fan base is not that big yet.
That's okay.
We'll get our lawyer to drop a document so that no one can draft in your league who you're picking.
I appreciate that, but I doubt it. I
We
know
don't have a lawyer.
I know people specifically that won't listen to that. But yeah, it doesn't matter. I have shares of all the guys we're going to be talking about today anyway. So if I don't get them all, it doesn't matter.
Okay.
So my first question is, how many leagues do you run and that you're in?
Well, you asked me to count ahead of time, so I will tell you 16 leagues currently.
16.
How do you manage 16 leagues?
Well, I'll tell you, they'll be a lot easier if they're on one platform. Personally, I prefer Yahoo just because I like the way it's set up. But I have leagues on Sleeper, and I have a bunch of leagues on an app called Flea Flicker, which a lot of people in a Facebook community I'm in called FSA. Shout out to FSA. They basically promote, and it's actually a really interesting one. It's not as much budget as some of the other big ones, but it's pretty unique, some of the things you can do on it. So, and in terms of managing, it's tough, but thankfully it's not fantasy baseball where you have to do it every day.
So when you're planning, draft season comes out, whether it be beginning of August, middle of August. I know some drafts get started in April. I think that's kind of crazy, but what do you do? Like, is your BlackBerry flying off the handle, or you're sitting down with the wife, planning a calendar? I could take you out for dinner this night, but not this night.
Yeah, so there definitely is some scheduling that needs to take place. Usually I'll do all the prep work and get all the dates ready to go. And for instance, this year, my wife, hi baby, she came out on the patio with her calendar and a little marker and basically sat there while I read off all of my draft dates. So I'm like, September 1st, 9 p.m., September 2nd, 9 p.m., September 3rd, 9 p.m. It got, after about 5 or 6 deep, she just started looking at me like I was psycho.
Like, you have to pencil her in like in one of those days, or?
No, to be honest with you, she's fantastic. I do have a new son at home as well and 2 other girls, so it's tough to kind of manage all. I've been working from home as well, but she knows how important this is to me. That's what a good partnership's all about. So she appreciates and supports that, and I have my family time in that, and then she obviously understands this is a very brief period of time before draft season's done.
And we all know women and wives, and all they care about is income, and it sounds like you're making a little bit of money into it, and here it comes,
I rely on most of my income for the year on fantasy football. That's my main job.
She gets a brand new necklace out of, your 20 teams.
If she cared about jewelry, yes, she would, but she doesn't.
Yeah, no, I know your wife. She doesn't care about
No,
jewelry.
she doesn't.
So when do you find the time, though, to do all your planning, once you're in season? Is that at the first in the morning when you're taking that morning? Take the morning dump.
Bathroom tinker time is definitely a thing. That is a very, very good thing, and sometimes those bathroom breaks get extended a little bit during the season for that reason.
It's time to stand up and your legs fall asleep, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
That's kind of how it works.
Now, most leagues have a waiver wire period, so after the week is played, you have until, usually it's Tuesday at sometime at 4 a.m. or Wednesday at 4 a.m., something like that, where you can bid on players and get them.
Right.
I am in one league in particular, which I'm not a fan of. It doesn't have waivers, so literally Chubb goes down on injury and Kareem Hunt's on the waiver wire, you can just go snag him. So depends on what league you're in, check the way they do it. And also it depends on whether you're having fab or you're bidding on players, or if it's just regular waivers and you have to pay attention to the where you are in those. So it really depends, but yeah, bathroom time's number one.
Before we get into the meat and potatoes of everything, like the players, the things that people are looking for, the help that they're looking for, how would you handle the fact that we are heading into COVID? Leagues need to pick rules. What do you think the right way to go about it is? Should you have roster spots?
Yeah.
Should you have a pre-planned situation? Let's just say the league's getting canceled. It's not getting canceled, but let's just say for some reason it did.
Yeah, well, if you're a commissioner of a league, it's important to be transparent and upfront and prepared. So number one on the money side, great idea I had, and I've shared it with other leagues, and I'm doing it in multiple, is essentially everyone puts the same amount of money in the pot. We're doing it week 8 is the cutoff for us. So as if the league, for instance, gets canceled before week 8, we're just refunding all the money, right? From week 8 to where the regular season normally ends, or the playoffs, If it cancels any time between there, half of the money gets refunded, half the money stays in the pot, and we do top 3 payout. We just divide the normal payout by 3. Right? If it goes all the way, obviously that's the hope. And personally, with the way the NFL is ran and how much money they make on ad revenue, I personally foresee it's going to be a full season. It's not going to be an issue.
Yeah. I mean, if not, you guys can just send the pot to them just so that they don't fold the league, right?
Yeah.
I think they have enough money. I don't know if it's accurate or not anymore, but I read somewhere that the NFL makes more than MLB, NBA, NHL combined.
Yeah.
When they only play 16 games.
The only league in the world that owned a day, so they had to get 2 more.
Yeah, there's only one team in professional sports that owns their franchise. City, sorry. That's the Green Bay Packers.
Right. Who, I mean, I know you're not biased against them or anything.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
People ask me what my favorite hockey team is, I say Green Bay Packers.
Now, let's get into the part that people are looking for. Let's talk about 5 targets that you should be aiming for based on the average draft position.
Yeah, ADP is a difficult game to play. You know what I mean? Everyone has a price, and everyone, based on where they are in the draft, is a good buy or a bad buy, in my opinion. Really depends on how your draft is going. Sometimes, like for instance, Shane and I had a draft, was it yesterday, where running backs were flying off the board, which obviously you had to reach to get some of the guys you wanted, or else you'd have nothing. So that really depends. In terms of, I guess, one person I want to talk off right at the bat, Keenan Allen. Keenan Allen's a stud. He has a stigma or a misconception about him because of his injuries several years ago, where he missed the whole season, I think multiple times. Since then, he's been healthy. He's been great. He's one of the best route runners in the league. And if you've been watching Hard Knocks, he's making fools out of people. So for him to be disrespected right now, he's being picked in the 50s, 60s. I have no problem go running back heavy early and taking him as my wide receiver 2.
Now, you have no concerns if they end up going to Justin Herbert at any point? I mean, I know the guy can sling the ball. I'm just wondering, if that affects your draft position.
Well, in those situations, typically with Tyrod or Herbert, they're not going to be, Super Bowl favorites. They're going to be losing games. They're going to be in games where they're going to have to chuck the ball. I'm not as confident in injured Mike Williams, or even if he's healthy, he's a 3 catches for 80 yards kind of guy.
Right.
And they don't really have anything else there. Hunter Henry's probably going to eat, but Keenan Allen's the guy that, if you've been paying attention, 10 catches, 12 catches, 13, that's the kind of guy he is.
Didn't he have 17 at one point?
Yeah, no, he's ridiculous, right? So for
I
him,
feel better with him being on my team now.
Yeah. No, and Keenan Allen's, he's one of my guys, and I love him. And based on his ADP, I'll take him every time.
I wish we did this show last week because I did all my drafts this week. So.
Yeah.
Oh well. Cool. Number 2, probably D-Jax. Okay. Deshaun Jackson right now. Well, it depends on what channel you're using to do your drafts, but on Yahoo, he's pretty far down there. Mm-hmm. So usually I have him pegged around taking round 9, round 10. Who's Philly got? Really?
Alshon Jeffrey, and he's been pretty beat up, right? And they drafted someone, and he got hurt in training camp. So
yeah, did you hear about how he got hurt too?
No.
It was in a scrimmage, and it was on an interception that the backup threw, that he shouldn't even. Long story short, he went to go tackle the guy. It wasn't called dead on the interception, so that was pretty funny. I thought it was very unnecessary. So that one's on the coaching staff. Rager I like as well as a rookie, but obviously ripped up his shoulder. So no, D-Jax is going to eat. I think he's one of those guys, especially if you play best ball. I don't know if anyone's familiar with best ball here, but it's actually pretty fun. You draft your team. You don't do anything after that. There's no waiver wire pickups. There's no anything. You just draft your team, and how it works is it always plays the best starting combination in your starting lineup. So if you have Mecole Hardman, Deshaun Jackson, and they go off one week for 4 catches for 160 yards and 2 touchdowns, they automatically get put in your roster. And those leagues, you want to draft multiple quarterbacks and stuff, because if one of your guys gets hurt, he's out for the year, you can't pick up another one. So
right.
Yeah, Deshaun Jackson, by far, he's going to be very sporadic, so you don't want to play him all the time, but pay attention to the matchups. And if it's a game that Philly's going to get probably walloped, he's probably going to get a lot of work.
Yeah. There was another guy that you were talking about earlier, and I asked you if he was still injured, and you gave me some pretty good advice on him.
Talking about Deebo?
We're talking Deebo.
This one's tough because I don't want to talk too much about Deebo. So I'm hoping.
We can skip Deebo if you want.
No, I put him on the board for a reason. It's okay. I have Deebo in a couple leagues.
I skipped him in 4 different drafts. I'm wondering why I skipped him.
Well, you skipped him because he had surgery, and he was given I think 10 to 12 week timetable, which
October, almost November by the time it's all said and done.
It was 10 to 12 weeks 9 weeks ago. He was given.
Okay.
So he is ahead of schedule. It's been slowly progressing more positive, and he's pretty much good to go. He's going to be playing week 1. my opinion, 100%.
Okay.
I don't know about playing him week 1 because I don't know what his work, I want to see what he looks like.
Yeah.
But if he was completely healthy and this didn't happen, he'd be right there in the 5th, 6th round. So for him to be at that mark where he is in that draft, around the 9th, 10th round, swipe all day. And he's one of those guys, especially if you get those 2-3 receivers in your lineup, you don't need to worry about Deebo for a while. Let him chill. Let him get healthy.
Right.
San Fran's a Super Bowl caliber team. You know what I mean?
Right.
Let him. And who else does San Fran have? Ayuk as a rookie, I like, whatever. Kendall Bourne. George Kittle, he's going to be a beast. But, again, tight ends.
I mean, I saw that they tried to make a move for Tavon Austin, and his first practice he was gone. So
oh, God,
I think he's on IR already.
What a draft bust that guy was.
Yeah. Well, now let's talk about the team that Trevor Lawrence is going to play for next year, Jacksonville Jaguars, because they made a running back move that's a little questionable, but it made somebody maybe a little bit more attractive to you.
Yeah, no, there's a couple guys. I like Ozigbo. I think Ozigbo has potential. We don't really know yet because we haven't seen him in action. From what I've heard, I think he's super slow, apparently. But, again, it could work out. They have another guy there they're going to split some work with, but in my opinion, the guy to target is Chris Thompson, especially in PPR leagues, point per reception for those who don't know. He's going to get a lot of work. Jacksonville's going to be in negative game scripts a lot. He's going to be catching the ball to the backfield. He's going to get a lot of dump-offs. Chris Thompson's issue has always been health. But the best part is, based on where you're drafting him, it doesn't matter. Right. You're throwing darts at the end of the draft anyway. You're looking for those guys that could be basically championship winners. If you take that guy in the 10th, 11th, 12th round and he ends up being an RB2, that's the difference in you being a champion and you getting pieced out in the semifinals.
Right. You think he has potential to be the Austin Eckler of this year?
No, I don't think he's good enough between the tackle runner. I don't think he's nearly going to make his work on the ground. He's going to have a couple splash plays, sure. I think he's going to make work in the reception game, and he could be a 70 to 80 catch guy based on what they use. They were trying to force Leonard Fournette in that role last year. Unfortunately, his skill set wasn't like that. Like if you looked at his yards per catch, I think it was around 5, or how they do it per target. I think he was negative in terms of how they look at it.
Yeah.
So like they were trying to force him, a triangle into a square peg, and it just wasn't a fit. Chris Thompson was born for that, and also I think the coach. They have a relationship.
Okay. And any quarterbacks out there that, let's just say we're those people that are waiting on quarterback. Like, I'm not a waiting on quarterback guy.
No, you're not.
I have Patrick Mahomes in 3 of my leagues.
Yeah.
Actually, 2 of my leagues, sorry. But, if I see a quarterback out there, I see that they're projected to get 450 points. Done.
Yeah.
Wrapping it up.
So I appreciate that, and I totally get it. The difference in quarterbacks, especially one quarterback leagues, is the separation from like the QB3 to the QB15 really isn't that much. Mm-hmm. You get your top guys are going to do well, right? And sure, it'll work out to maybe an extra 5 points a week. Will those extra 5 points a week be better served if you took another good RB2 or a wide receiver 3? So that's the debate. Mm-hmm. I'm personally a late round quarterback kind of guy.
Okay.
And normally I could never do this in leagues because my guy was always gone in the first 3 quarterback picks. And I'm going to talk about 2 guys. One, Aaron Rodgers. Homerism aside, because I'm a Packer fan, complete disrespect. The guy is a beast. He's going to go down as one of the best to ever play.
Yep.
If you look at stats, if you look at, passer rating.
Yeah,
right? The kid's a monster.
When it comes down to it, people give Brady all the credit for not playing with anybody. When you actually break it down, who has Aaron Rodgers had around him as far as like Hall of Fame?
Here's a fun stat. He has 1 touchdown pass to someone drafted in the first round, and that was Mercedes Lewis last year. 1. Wow. So they have not surrounded him with talent. They've been great in the second round. They got Greg Jennings in the second round. They got Randall Cobb in the second round. They got Jordy Nelson. They got Devontae Adams, all in the second round. So anyways, the reason why I'm picking him is because he's pissed. Yep. All right. As soon as they drafted Jordan Love, the questions came on, the lights came on. When's his time up? You know what I mean? He's got 4 years left in his contract. He's angry. Just the same way Favre was angry. And what Favre did was he took us to the NFC Championship. Sure, he gave.
I thought you were saying he went to Minnesota.
No, so we'll talk about that another day. That's a whole other show just on that topic alone. But he gave it away. The thing is with Rodgers, he doesn't give it away at the end. He's not going to throw those bonehead interceptions that Favre did. We went 13-3 last year. We got a running game. Sure. The thing is with the receivers, the reason why we didn't draft a receiver, and this really bothers me, is because we don't get. When I say we, I apologize. I'm a Packer fan. Our receivers don't get separation. Right, Devontae Adams is the only one that's a good route runner, and that's why he's awesome and he's going to eat. The rest of the receivers are just tall. They can catch. They're okay, but they can't get separation. So we needed that quick little Cole Beasley kind of, Randall Cobbish kind of guy that we didn't get. So We should have called up Houston because they're the exact opposite. They got Stills, Cobb, Cooks, Fuller. Just in a little swap. That would have made sense. But
maybe they could put Jordan Love in the slot or something. I mean,
maybe.
Yeah, might make Packer fans a little happy.
Yeah. The other guy, Baker, I won't go too long about him. It wasn't too long ago last year when Baker was top 5 quarterback pick, top 6. Everyone was all on.
I mean, he was the conductor of the hype train.
Exactly. So on paper, he was great. The thing is that recency bias. He did what he did, and now everyone's off him.
Right.
He still has that offense. This is year 2 with the Odell thing. All right. Jarvis is still there. They got Kareem Hunt, who looks amazing in camp, and they got Nick Chubb. They also added Austin Hooper, who's great. Security blanket. I think he's going to far outweigh his ADP. If you want to go running backs, receivers early and wait for Baker in the 10th, 11th round, I think that's definitely a winning strategy.
Okay.
So who are some guys you're going to stay away from? You want some guys you're going to go after, who are you going to stay away from?
Number 1, 4-way tie, Kittle, Kelsey, Ertz, Andrews. Because I'm a Cardinal believer and you should not draft a tight end in the first 4 rounds. Those rounds are for running backs, wide receivers, because you play the most of them.
Right.
In position scarcity leagues where you play 1 quarterback or 1 tight end, sure you can play a tight end in your flex, but losers do that.
Yeah.
Please don't do that. So yeah, like do not waste a second, third. Like when you're taking Kelsey or Kittle, I'm sure they're great players, but they're not what the other players could be. And you know what? No one's a rocket scientist who knows everything. We could be wrong, and they could have a great year, sure, but those running backs and receivers are a lot more valuable, in my opinion.
And because you're talking about flex, I'm going to go to something that I was asking you about earlier, and that's, would you ever start a flex player on a Thursday night?
Absolutely not. Number 1 rule, do not start Thursday players in your flex, ever. The reason why is because, let's just say Tyreek Hill in Kansas City plays Thursday night. You play Tyreek Hill in your flex position. They play, he has a good game. Awesome. You're going to play Tyreek Hill regardless. Now, what happens on Sunday morning where you hear that, let's say, I'll use a receiver, Stephon Diggs, ankle soreness, not going to suit up today. You have him in your receiver spot. Now, you have to take a player from your bench and play him in that receiver spot, and you have to play a receiver. If you would have played Tyreek Hill in your wide receiver position, you could have moved your receiver that's already in that position there, bench Diggs, and you have your flex position where you can play a running back or a tight end.
If you're a loser, right?
Only losers play tight ends, but I was
correct. But if your other option is a garbage wide receiver and you have a good tight end, then you'll do that.
No, I think it's good advice, and I mean that's why I wanted to bring it up because you were talking about it.
Something I never thought of.
Yeah,
I've played this for a long time. Never thought of it. I know I've definitely been handicapped a couple of times and handcuffed to that position because of that.
It's only a negative. It's only a negative if you do that. It's only a positive if you don't. So
see, like I didn't start people on Thursday nights because I would always be pissed if they had a shit night, and then like I'm pissed on Thursday night, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. I'm already losing in my matchup. Because
that's just a mental thing, bro.
Yeah. Hey, man.
I appreciate it, but it's a mental
90% of
thing.
the game's half mental. That's what I always.
Because you got to think, if he was playing on Sunday, would you still play that guy on Sunday? And if the answer is yes, then it's just mental. You play them. You deal the cards as they're dealt. You play the best players you have, and you try to make the best decisions you can. We're going to make mistakes sometimes, sure. Yeah. I was in a championship. One of the championships I lost last year. It really came down to one decision that I was really wavering towards: Julian Edelman, who was my rock all year, or pivot to Perriman for Tampa, who was on fire recently. I decided to stay safe with Edelman. He busted. Perriman went off. I lost by 3 points, and I lost, a good amount of money with that league going from first to second. So,
right.
Coming for that title this year, by the way. But anyway, so you know what I mean. So you just make the best decisions you can, and unfortunately, it's not going to work out every time. But
right. So yeah, who else are you kind of staying away from?
Jonathan Taylor is one. I love him. I think he's got Barkley-like ability. I know that's speaking really highly, but I think he's that caliber of running back. Indianapolis has a great offensive lineman, and could he bust out and be an amazing runner this year? Absolutely. The thing is that Marlon Mack is there. He's going to split work with him, and Mack may not be spectacular, but he has been a game-breaking player for them.
Yeah.
They also have Naheem Hines, who's a pass-catching back, so he's going to see a lot of negative game scripts on third downs because he's proven that he can block. He's proven he can catch. Reports over the last week, Jonathan Taylor had a couple drops in camp. Do I think he's going to be great? Absolutely. Am I going to spend a third-round pick on him or a fourth-round pick over guys like Todd Gurley, Le'Veon Bell, other guys? Absolutely not. So he's just one of those guys that I'm not going to draft personally because I need to see it first.
Right.
Dynasty is a different story.
Yeah, for sure. Because, next year he's the starter.
Yeah. And just to clarify, redraft is, everyone's drafting new teams every year. Dynasty, everyone drafts Dynasty draft. you have your team forever. You do a rookie draft every year, and keepers is a popular option as well, where you can keep a certain amount of players from your roster and then you redraft the rest. So.
Right. Okay. Any other running backs that you're kind of like a little wonky on?
Yeah, Mark Ingram's one for sure. I like Ingram. I like Baltimore. I think they're going to run the ball a lot, but Lamar Jackson's definitely going to do that too. As as you see, broke the NFL rushing record last year for quarterbacks. But J.K. Dobbins is a beast. J.K. Dobbins is awesome. I loved him at Ohio State. He reminds me of Zeke a lot. And unfortunately, the way the NFL works, they don't value running backs, so that's why they slip in the second round, and I think that was a steal.
I tried to call the Steelers on draft day, and I had him written down as if the Steelers had a first-round pick, they should have taken him. But, I mean, Mike Tomlin didn't hit my call that day. So.
Yeah, unfortunately, the whole running backs don't matter is a big thing, you know what I mean? Yeah. Because you can have there's a bunch of them. They only have a certain amount of life expectancy. Goodbye to Adrian Peterson, by the way, 35 years old, got released today. Much love. You were awesome. But, yeah, no, they usually have a really short window of success. So, unfortunately, Mark Ingram's getting to that age now where he's just one injury away or, like a little soreness. And then Dobbins goes in and does what he does. I forget how old he is, like 22, 23. But the kid's awesome. So, in my opinion, if you can get Dobbins 3 or 4 rounds later, I think that's a safer play.
Yeah, for sure. And, think about a receiver. Like, we've been talking tight ends. We've been talking running backs.
Michael Gallup is someone that is not really a sexy pick, but he had a good year last year. The problem with Dallas is that they have a lot of targets. They have a lot of targets to go around. They drafted, in my opinion, the best wide receiver in the draft in CeeDee Lamb. Am I surprised Jerry Jones did the flashy pick? Absolutely not. Right. That's what he likes to do. I was a little upset just because, in my opinion, it's embarrassment of riches. You just pay Amari Cooper $100 million. You got Gallup, who's emerging. You draft Lamb. You got Zeke. Just paid Jarwin, who looks good as well. But yeah, no, Gallup, it's not even that he's drafted too high. It's just there's other guys around him that I'd prefer have, and it wouldn't be surprising me at all if Lamb, within the next few weeks, challenges him for that number 2 spot just on pure talent alone. Lamb is that good, right? He's in my opinion, he's as good. He could be as good or better than Amari Cooper.
Yeah, I mean, the guy has played receiver for the last 2 Heisman Trophy winners, right? So.
Yeah, guy's a beast.
He looks pretty good sometimes.
Yeah.
Yeah, him and Judy were toe to toe. I prefer Lamb personally.
Yeah.
You talked about Taylor as a rookie kind of coming in, sharing carries. Is there any other rookie backs you kind of stay away from?
It depends. It also depends on what your leaves, if they're really running back heavy. But I see DeAndre Swift being drafted a lot higher than I normally feel comfortable.
Guilty.
Yeah. Carry on is a hype train. He gets hurt all the time. But Detroit sucks.
Yeah.
Their running backs never do anything good. The only running back that ever did good for that team was Barry Sanders. And he
Which
was in the
division does Detroit play in again?
The Green Bay Packers division. the only division that matters.
Like a homer.
Yeah, no.
We just got to put that disclaimer in there.
Yeah, no. But Detroit, no, honestly, think about the last relevant, running back they had. You know what I mean? It's horrible. Their track record, they don't know how to use them properly.
Yeah.
Even Marvin Jones, a player I hate. And people are like, oh, they draft Marvin Jones in the 7th, 8th round. I'm like, the guy disappears for 4 straight games. They're just so inconsistent. The best thing they could have ever done as a franchise was draft Calvin Johnson, and then they just wasted him. You know what I mean? I always get upset during draft too because they've constantly drafted guys I like during their draft season, but then they always wash out. I like Javid Best. I like Mikel Leshurr. They keep drafting these guys, and then they just
Hawkinson's
Hawkinson I like too, and then
they just kill tight ends there.
Yeah,
Ebron and Hawkinson.
Got to use him. Hawkinson's all-world talent, so we'll see what he does. He's on the hype train too. We'll see. I like him, but again, I'm not taking him over other tight ends in that area. But yeah, in my opinion, DeAndre Swift for a 5th, 6th round pick, I'd pick somebody else.
Okay. And, now we've done for sure's, people you want to go away from, but what about the people that no one knows about?
The sleepers.
The sleepers.
This is what separates the boys from the men. These are what championships are made off of. There's several years, and it's actually funny because my league of record, my work league, we used to do, as I mentioned, we had a draft board, a big one, cut out. And what I would do as a commissioner, after the draft, I would cut out each person's draft. I would write, best pick, worst pick, little note on their team, and a little message to them and thank them and sign it. And I'd give them to all the guys. So they liked it, and it was a cool thing we did. I have all mine kind of squared up, and I'm looking by, and I walk by, and I just see like one of the years I won, Tyreek Hill drafted in the 9th round, or Michael Thomas as a rookie drafted in the 13th round, or you know what I mean. You see those, and you're just like, wow, you know what I mean. Those are the ones that they're not all going to hit. When you're past that 10th, 11th round, you're making dart throws based on your best guess. A bunch of them are going to fail. You just need one of them to do what you think they're going to do to take your team to the next level.
Right.
If one of those guys can crack your roster and be what you think they are, then that's what separates your roster from the rest. So in terms of sleepers, number one, we already talked to him before, J.K. Dobbins. I would definitely recommend looking at him. Again, don't overdraft him like I did yesterday. I took him way too high. I was kind of forced to. That's a story for a different day. But yeah, in my opinion, I think he's going to light the league on fire. And once they start giving him the ball, you're going to see less and less of Gus Edwards and Mark Ingram.
Right. I completely agree with you.
Good. Someone we didn't talk about yet, Bryan Edwards, wide receiver, Las Vegas, deep sleeper. This guy is a draft in the 3rd round. I liked him a lot. I wanted Green Bay to draft him. They didn't. I think it was South Carolina, I'm pretty sure. He's come in and just immediately just shocked everybody. Some camp thinks he's better than Ruggs. So they're playing Ruggs in the slot right now. And I think they're playing Edwards as the X. And he's
just an embarrassment of riches.
Yeah. So Tyrell Williams out for the season, I think. He's gone. So he's just going to eat.
I think it was just his pride, right? Like the fact that he wasn't going to start, maybe.
Yeah, I'm not sure. But yeah, he was getting beat out by the rookie before that even happened. So they got a bunch of rookies there too. And, Hunter Renfrow potentially could play the slot, but I've heard they're playing Ruggs in the slot too. So we'll see. Ruggs okay, in terms of sleepers as well, but he's going way higher than Edwards. Edwards is someone you could pick up the end of your drafts that could be potentially a league winner.
Right.
Yeah. I got Blake Jarwin on the board there.
Okay.
Blake Jarwin is a guy who just got paid a lot of money. He plays for one of the most highest octane offenses in the league. He is one of those guys that's going to be on the field a lot. All right. So it's one of those things, just natural progression of the way it works.
Right.
He's gonna get work. And tight ends is something that's it's variable. You know what I mean? Like your tight end, unless you got one of those top guys, isn't going to be a performer every week. That sometimes streaming tight ends works. But I like waiting till like the 10th, 11th, 12th round, grabbing a guy like Jarwin and just taking a shot that he turns into that top 5 pick. Waller was my guy last year. Stole him in a bunch of leagues late, turned into that guy. Right? So for every one of those guys, there's an O.J. Howard that you take in the 5th round that just does nothing.
As I've done numerous times, being a homer.
He's also a good sleeper this year too, because of where he's being drafted. Personally, I don't think Gronk's health is going to hold up, and O.J. Howard's been impressing in camp, and it's very realistic that O.J. Howard comes back and does what he's supposed to do with Brady, because Brady likes tight ends.
Well, for sure. And, I mean, as far as rookie receivers go, we talked about the high-end rookie receivers. You talked Edwards. Is there anybody else that you kind of like?
Well, that's the best part about Edwards. Not really a high-end receiver, but, in my opinion, I think he's going to be one. There's another guy drafted who I really liked coming out of college that went to the Rams, Van Jefferson. So Van Jefferson, another deep sleeper you can get towards the end of your drafts. This guy is something else. So he immediately stepped in, and if you know McVay, he's really interesting on offense and how he uses his players. So he's immediately already surpassed. So Cooks was gone. We already know that. Yeah. So the natural progression is Josh Reynolds who's going to step into wide receiver 3. Van Jefferson is already lead Reynolds. He's dust. All right. As we know, Cooper Kupp's health, not always the best. He already dinged up his ankle, I think, 2 days ago.
Yeah.
Robert Woods is great.
He's a machine.
Yeah, but again, if something were to happen to Kupp and Van Jefferson was forced in that 2 role, that defense is going to be rolling to Woods hard, right? Jefferson's a great route runner. I think he's going to surprise people, and I think he has the potential to have the biggest impact year one out of the fantasy wide receivers who are rookies because of his playing time. I think, McVay loves using that weird personnel where he uses 3 receivers all the time. Did so with Cooks, wants to do the same thing. And if Reynolds is out, Jefferson's in, that means he's going to be on the field a lot. And if he does what it's reporting camp he's doing, then he's going to get a lot of work.
For sure. And then what about a guy, that we heard his name a lot at the end of last year, but absolutely no one was talking about him when it came draft time?
You're talking about Preston? Preston Williams? Okay, so Preston Williams is an interesting cat. Popular sleeper. I'm in this FSA thing I mentioned. There's people in there that like him a lot. He was killing it last year before he got hurt.
Yep.
He was toe-to-toe with Devontae Parker and actually was, I think, doing just as good, if not better. He goes down, and that's when Parker really took off because they really didn't have too many people to use.
Right.
Preston Williams already looks fantastic. They said he's people are kind of wowed in camp. He's immediately going to come in. They're going to be passing the ball a lot because they suck and they're going to be losing. I think I've heard rumors of him having already chemistry with Fitzpatrick, already with Tua. We'll see what happens, but when you're picking that late in the draft, getting someone who catches 70 balls for 900 yards and 6 to 8 touchdowns, that's worthwhile to take in the 13th round.
He's worth hitting him with the dart.
Yeah, absolutely, because he could turn in. It's all about what they could turn into, right? You want to go for some of those home runs and some of those guys that you think can be consistent, right? And that's one of those guys I think could be a regular flex play if you needed him during bye weeks.
All right, yeah. Well, hey man, we appreciate the information, and if we can make this a regular thing, we'll get you on. We'll,
I'm out, but I'll finish this last one if you.
I already drank mine.
That's all right. Cheers, boy.